Hey there, y'all. This is Jack. Today we're discussing Naruto Gaiden, the whirlwind inside the vortex, and pretty dang good chapter. I gotta say, very. I was okay. You read the title of the thumbnail correctly. It's mostly good. There's some stuff in here that I just think that's absolutely horrendous and terrible. But beside that, for the most part, this chapter is actually relatively pretty dang good. And let's just jump right into it, shall we? And I'll get to the part that I really didn't like in this review when we cross there. All right. So yeah, we cut to a Minato right here, facing off for the first time against two tailed beasts as they're about to shoot Biju bombs right at him. And one of them's the four-tailed beast, and the other one I believe is the six-tailed beast. And Jiraiya at this point is like, "All right, Minato, we gotta get out of here, man. Or we're gonna be toast." And Minato, of course, uses the Flying Thunder God technique as we get this beautiful double spread right here of the Bijus are shooting right down at Minato, and Minato uses a technique and poof, teleports away, saving them all. We see a massive explosion in the distance, and we get another Shinobi thinking, "Wait, are we dead? Did I die?" And the other one that appears to be Uchiha is like, "Nah, we're safe thanks to Minato's technique." And then we cut to Minato just thinking, "So that's the tailed beast, huh? So that's what's inside Kushina." And forgive me if I mispronounce her name wrong. I believe it is pronounced Kushina. If I'm saying it wrong, my apologies. But yeah, he's just thinking, yeah, that. So one of these beings is in her. Then we cut to her dreaming about her confronting the tailed beast as Kurama is just standing there, just saying, yeah, you're essentially you're my new vessel. You're alone. No one's gonna like you. All right. So you really gotta rely on me. Just being that evil son of a gun that we knew in the early season or series, and she wakes up from a nightmare, and then she kind of goes through her same routine every day in life. Where she's like, oh, same place, same guards always watching her. She talks to them, saying what's the schedule for today, and they're like, oh, training, sealing techniques, and she's like, oh, all right. And then she sees a butterfly flying. Of course, represents freedom, all that jazz. Pretty not neat stuff, Nothing wrong with that. Cliche, but nothing wrong with it if it's done well. And here, I think it's done pretty well. And right there, she wants to go meet Minato because Minato's gonna help her with her training. Good to see that here that Minato, we all know he really likes her too, and she really likes him, and that he wants to train her. But something else comes up as she gets with him, saying, "All right," she, um, she wants to learn some new techniques, for them to start training. And Minato's like, yeah, I'm sorry, Kushina, I'm not gonna be able to do that today." And she's like, what?" And he says, "I want to train for a different technique in a different place today. That's why I came here to tell you." And right there, before he can finish, she just starts like, "Wait, what kind of technique?" And he's like, "Oh well, you know, and she's like, "Oh, where is this place at?" And Minto's like, "Oh, at the training grounds." And then we see Kakashi and Guy in the background. I like that. It's so random. Like you didn't have to put them in here. It's fan service, yes, but remember, Minato is Kakashi's master, so yeah. You didn't need to put him in here, but you did, and I felt that this part is probably the most appropriate. And Kushina just continues like a technique. Well, you can't even tell me. And Minato's like, no, it's just I don't really want you. And she's like, oh, is that so? I understand. If you don't want to be together with me, then just say so. As you see her get angry and her hair just starts floating up, similar that we saw in Naruto's backstory when it showed flashbacks with her in it. Just hilarious stuff like that. This is pretty good and everything. Minato's like, no, that's not it at all. And we get other people calling for Minato, be like, hurry up, man, we gotta get going. We gotta debrief our the Kage on the mission reports, and we get some girls to fangirling over Minato, of course. And Minato's like, all right, I gotta get going. Sorry. And as he leaves through the not the portal, the barrier, one of the Ombu guards has to stop her. Says, "Wait, Kushina, you can't cross the barrier." And she looks on, and sees Minato going, and of course, she's feeling, she wants to go with him, but obviously she can't because, well, the barrier is what helps prevent the Nine Tails from emerging, as we see later on, and it's cool to see here. Also, yeah. Right here, as I was saying, the barrier, and it's a pretty decent sized barrier. Just the swirl, the Uzumaki, very cool to see here. And then we cut back to the inside with Kushina, excuse me, just being there saying we remembering actually old times as she's inside her homes with narration saying, "We came here as vessels for the Nine Tails, but before that, the vessel must find love and be filled with it. By doing that, despite living as a Jinchuriki for the Nine Tails, you will find happiness." And yeah, baby Kushina. I just remembered they used to call her a potato. I forgot about that just now, actually. Yeah, I remember that was the nickname the other students gave her because she turned red, her hair, red hair. That was funny. Okay, I won't call her that, but I just literally remember that because she knows called a tomato. That was funny. But then yeah, essentially the previous Nine Tails Jinchuriki holder before Kushina, she's just essentially telling her that yeah, like love is essentially like love is like a pretty good strong barrier, like a strong motive to keep yourself together and to fight off the Nine Tails, so you're not really doing it alone. We get more of that later on, especially when Minato, like we know he loves her, but when he like displays his love, it's very cool to see. And we'll get more of that later, of course. And then we get Kushina just using her chain ability to chain down the Ombus. Poor Ombus. They're just doing their jobs. They're legit just doing their jobs. And as that's happening, she chained them down. She starts running off, trying to find Well, before she does that, she comes across the line barrier, and she's nervous at first, and she crosses it, happy. But the Nine Tails is like, good, good. My, the time of my reckoning, the time I come back to be, is soon at hand. Okay, he doesn't really say that, but it's pretty much similar to what he says. And then we cut Kushina, just wanting to get to Minato, but of course she's kind of feeling that energy of the Nine Tails, like really not emerging but stirring up. And then we cut to Minato, just exhausted, just training there. We see some of the spirals in the earth. He's training with Jiraiya, so it's cool to see that. I love stuff like this. It's cool to see Minato training and Jiraiya. Of course, Jiraiya is one of my favorite characters in Naruto. So cool to see them actually training, talking with each other, dialogue, stuff like this. Stuff like this, us fans want to see. That's canon. Is so cool to see. Excuse me. Then Jiraiya's like, all right, hold on. Before we do that, let me check the whirl on your head real quick, because if you check the whirl, you could kind of figure out where your chakra is going to be going at. You could follow the direction of it, and in doing so, it'll be a much easier to have the flow of your chakra flow through. And Minato's like, oh, okay then. And as he checks, Jiraiya's like, oh, I see. And Minato's like, what's wrong? And Jiraiya's like, well, you got two swirls. And Minato's like, wait, what? Okay, I'll admit, I don't really like this part. Like, okay, because as Jiraiya says later in this chapter, that people with two swirls on their head are destined for greatness. And like, I'm like, I see where you're going with but no, no, I'm I personally was not a fan of this, of having Minato having two swirls, because it makes it seem like Minato's like more special than he is. I always assume Minato, yes, he's from the Uzumaki clan, but no, it's not he's not, like, I always assume that he worked for that strength, for that for that ability. He worked for it so hard, and it wasn't just just given to him. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, he worked so hard to develop that technique. He worked so hard to come together and be able to you know essentially, yeah, make himself who he is. It just wasn't like given to him in a sense. Well, it's not given to him in a sense, but it's like he's destined for greatness. I always assumed that he worked hard for it and he achieved the level of Hokage through his hard work. That's how I always assumed it, but I know I'm harking on the swirl head thing, but it really didn't need to be added. It really, really didn't. And I know it comes into another lesson for Minato, as Jiraiya is like, all right, let's take a break. Here's two ice creams. You want one? And Minato's like, wait, they're the same. And Jiraiya's like, yeah, but are they? And Minato's like, oh, I get it. And he goes off and he manages to create the Rasengan. I guess setting up for this, but I don't like it, to be honest. I think that's just yeah, just more little like stuff that adding on to Minato to make him more special, and he doesn't really need to be. That's just me though. And then Minato names the Rasengan, and I'm not gonna lie, I as cheesy and as dumb as it is, I like it. I'm glad they didn't go with it, but I do like it, as he calls it Halo Hair, a whirl of Jiraiya inspired by Frozen Dessert Twins style sphere. I love it. And Jiraiya's like, that's a kind of a long name, don't you think? And he kind of teases him for a bit, and then he's like, all right, congratulations on creating the first stage of this technique. Because again, we all know that Jiraiya is the one that invented it, but Minato's the one that perfected it. Then Jiraiya's like, all right, I gotta get going on a mission. And at first, he was talking about the mission to go to the Rain Village, which is actually it probably still could be. That's what I'm assuming he's talking about, but I could be wrong. And then later on, we cut to Minato, getting ready to head back, and Kushina is there. She was watching the entire time as he was like, "Wait, were you here the entire time?" She's like, "Yeah, I kind of was. I was just kind of watching this thing." And she came. She said she wanted to come here because she wanted to apologize for yelling at him earlier. And Minato just kind of gives her a somber look and says, "No, I should have been the one who's sorry. I broke my promise to you." And she's like, "Yeah, but you wanted to train and you did that new technique, right?" And he's like, "Yeah, you saw that." And she's like, "Yeah." And he's like, "Well, the truth is, the reason I broke my promise to you because I I was to I want to master that new technique. Essentially, he wants to master the Rasengan essentially to use it to protect to protect yeah, so sorry about that, to protect Kusha, Kushina. I am so sorry. I just got out of work not too long ago. My bad, Kushina. And she's like, and then she says, she's just wondering, just watching him as he says, I wanted to master the technique because I don't want to lose you. And she gets that look on her face, just that, that she's really touched at this, and you could really see, because we all know people say that Naruto got his looks from his dad. Not really, only the hair, but Naruto really got his facial features from his mother, and you could really, I could really see it right here, and I really, really like that. I don't know if well, I know Kishimoto would be conscious of this, but the way he drew Kushina's face right here just really gives me the Naruto, vibes of his face. Really cool stuff like that. But things, of course, can't go well as boom boom. Nine Tails is like, all right, enough of this sappy stuff. I'm breaking out, and right there, yeah, Kushina starts, her aura starts bubbling up all around her, and Minato's like, oh no, this is the Tail Beast mode, and slash right there at Minato, launching him back. He has a massive gash in his chest, and it's like, okay, whoa, whoa, whoa. Is Minato gonna die? It's like, okay, this is absolutely fatal, right? We all could agree this is fatal. Minato does not really know no as far as we know, healing style jutsus. He can't regenerate, so this is very, very fatal to him, and he's gonna be losing a lot of blood. But Minato, I believe in him. He's gonna be able to push through this severe wound to help save his future wife. And then yeah, we get the Nine Tails, just like, hey, I told you, don't trust anyone. It's only you, all right. Now you gotta do the seals because he's gonna leave you one day and betray you. And she's like, she's just not, really having any of it. And he's like, all right, if you don't do it, then I'll pierce you to death. Okay, Nine Tails. I mean, you could have tried doing that before, but all right, yeah, I get he's breaking the chains, but I mean, he could have tried doing that instead of talking to her. Cause he's an evil son of a gun. Like he doesn't care. It's like, oh yeah, yeah, you let me go. Oh, you're not gonna let me go. Oh, I'll just kill you then. It's like, come on, man. But his seal stops him, and he's like, wait, the sealing technique. And then he realizes that it's Minato doing as Minato says. Kushina, get a hold of yourself as he tries, trying to get her back, regaining her consciousness, putting the seal on her stomach. And Nightale is just pretty dang furious at this, as Minato just tries continuing talking to her. And the Ninetales says this, which I was like, oh come on. Where the Ninetales like, he's enhancing the four symbol seals with his own technique. A shinobi of this caliber of the first Hokage, Hashirama, there are others like him still around. And okay, I get sealing techniques, Minato. Yeah, his clan is very good at that stuff, at sealing stuff like that. But come on the level of Hashirama, Hashirama, come on, man. I mean, yeah, I was not. I was like, come on, don't. I get it. You want to make Minato like really good, but don't take stuff like that away from the first Hokage. The first Hokage was just on a whole other level, and now you're saying Minato could have a ceiling that's near his level. I was like, come on, don't do that. But then we continue on as the actually the Telebeast is like, why does a shinobi like you want to be involved with her? Minato just essentially just tells Kuruma straight up says, as he says, it's because I like strong people, and especially those stronger than me. That's why I love Kushina. I can't bear to lose her. And she starts tearing up as we get a flashback of the previous holder of the Nine Tails, that she's saying that the Uzumaki clan is all but scattered at this point. They lost everything. They were essentially the best when it came to seals and all that stuff. And then yeah, Kushina's essentially like, do you really think? Cause she's really worried. She's like, do you really think I'd be able to hold up the nine tails? And the grandmother's like, of course. Even though you're still a child, you're very strong in my eyes, and a child with more admirable red hair than mine. Trying to cheer her up, of course. And then she says, "Is she what you want? Is this what you wanted to show me? That room?" And she's like, "I want to show you what's above." And Kushima looks up and she says, "A vortex staircase?" And she's like, "No, my dear, it's a spiral staircase. So let's climb up. A whirlpool is always flat. It's like an unchanging picture, but a spiral is three-dimension. Even if it seems to be spinning in the same way, the floors change a little, the scenery will change too." And Kushina's like, "Oh, what's at the top?" And the older master says, "The one that's inside the vessel and me." And then we see outside, and Kushina is just very happy to see it. She's like, "Whoa, this place is really cool and all that." And the elder just says, "When times are hard, I always come here just to gaze at the scenery at the top. That's the one that's inside Lady Mito's vessel. If I'm not mistaken, that man is Lady Mito's." And she says, "Yes. Kushina, it's true that we may be inside the vortex, but if you continue to try to climb up yourself, you should be able to find love. If you do that, then surely the vortex will turn into a spiral." And yes, I believe she's the wife of Hashirama, the first Hokage. So very cool to see that stuff here. See that that she's here and that she found love, and through that love, she was able to help hold back the Nine Tails for Hashirama and for the sake of the village. Cool stuff here. Good stuff here. And as they're talking about the vortex turning into a spiral, y'all know, but I'll just say it anyways for the sake of this video, that yeah, vortex essentially, you're just going around and around and around, but a spiral just goes, it's still going around, but it's slightly going up and up, away, and it's not in the same place. So again, you're like increasing your view from a perspective of going in a spiral building. And that, yeah, you might be at the bottom, you might be in a vortex for a while, but when you find love and find a reason to keep going on, you will eventually go into a spiral, and you will find that one person that will essentially help you get through things. And I like that a lot. Good. It's not complicated, but it's very good, and I really, really enjoy that. And then we get Kushina right there, determination on her face, as she shoots the chains out of her body and starts wrapping around the ten tails. Sorry, ten tails? No, nine tails. My bad. Kurama freaking out like, what? And she says, "I can still defy you." And Kurama like, "Kushina," as he starts charging up a massive Biju bomb. And Minato realizes something's going wrong, but Kushina regains consciousness, and he says, "You come to your senses." And she says, "Minato," and Minato's like, "We'll do this together. The two of us." He's very, very wounded right now. Blood's gushing out of his wound. We see in his dialogue, the lettering is very, very weakened. So Minato is not gonna last that long. He's gonna need care very fast. But Kurama just ain't having none of it. He says, "You dumb brats," as he's about to ready to fire another bomb, and he and Yeah, this is crazy right here. Kushina gets swallowed up by the 10 Telsa's energy, gets swallowed up and slashed. And yes, right through Minato's stomach. Minato is dead, gone, goodbye, rest in peace. I guess Naruto was already born and something else happened. I don't know. Okay, yeah, no, for real though. This is the part I disliked a lot. This actually really severely damaged this chapter. It's unbelievable. And I know there's going to be people out there saying, well, Naruto got a hole stabbed through his chest. True. But he had the nine-tailed beast in him and it healed him. I'm not going to lie. I don't like that. I am okay with the tailed beast able to hurt, heal wounds. But a massive hole in your chest is too much for me. But I'm like, okay, I'll accept it for now. Minato has no tailed beasts in him, as far as we know. He's a normal human, quote unquote normal human, and he got a big old gash. He was wounded, he was dying, and then he got a big old hole punched through his chest. Well, chest, and it landed to his lower gut. So he's shredded. Yeah, Minato's dead. Minato's absolutely dead. He should be dead. And I could already hear other people say, well, what about Neji? He got stabbed by an arrow. Yes, but it was in a fatal spot. It was around his shoulder area, I believe. And again, I'm not a fan of that. And I do believe he got shot somewhere else around the chest, but he did have medical ninja that arrive on time. But again, I don't really like that. That's just ridiculous. You could have people come and when it stop the bleeding, I mean keep the blood inside the body till they could get him to actually, actual treatment. So I was not happy with that. But again, remember, Sasuke in the in the Great Ninja War just got stabbed, a casual stab from Madara, and Sasuke was already down. He was gonna die if it wasn't for the the sages, the master sage guy, the alien that I don't like, freaking aliens. That's why I can't remember their names. But yeah, the alien. So yeah, this is ridiculous. I really dislike this moment. Yeah, this is absolutely terrible. And you can't defend it. You really can't defend it unless you say the power of love. What is this? Fairy tale? Come on. Sorry, no, that's the power of friendship. Any other anime that has the power of love. And then, but of course, Kurama's like, let go of your ceiling hand. She's my Jinchuriki. You have nothing to do with this. And he says, no, she's not. And then right there, Minato appears in the inner world. And he says, I am always within Kushina, as he comes down, and Kurama gets ready to fire the Biju blast, but he's choking. So Kushina is doing quite a bit here, which I like. And both of their energy blasts clash. Neat to see here, even with a weakened Kurama. But when I say weakened, quote unquote, remember, this is still full power Kurama. This Kurama is much more powerful than the one I was in Naruto. Minato and Kushina should be dead. I'm not gonna lie. And the Nine Tails should have escaped and been frolicking around, leaving laughing. But plot armor, extra thick plot armor, and I do not like stuff like that in my stories where that's ridiculous. But of course, Minato wakes up. He's just got a few scratches, and we get Jiraiya Tsunade. Yay! And of course, Kushina, rushes in and starts hugging him, and we get Tsunade and Jiraiya smiling. And I just wanted to point out that Tsunade is my favorite female Naruto character. Just want to point that out there. And then we got, Minato and Kushina just walking. Minato, of course, walking. A hole to the chest down that extended out to the lower back. I mean, come on, right? I mean, if you die from that, I mean, woof, what a loser, am I right? And then Kushina's essentially like, we can start fighting training her out. Hey, how about that new technique from earlier? And Minato's like, huh? She wants to train, but come on, Kushina, you gotta, let the man rest. I know, a hole to the gut ain't really that big of a deal, but give him a few hours, all right? Give him a few hours. And as she continues talking, I was saying, it looked a lot like the chakra spear that the Nine Tails was about to use. How did you develop it? And Minato says, on the battlefield, I saw a Jinchuriki chakra sphere up close. I used those as a reference. And here's another problem I have with it. Jiraiya's the one that came up with it, and Minato was the one that perfected it. I honestly could be wrong about that. If I'm misremembering, please let me know. But I always assumed Jiraiya was the one that came up with it and Minato perfected it. That's how I always remembered it. If I'm wrong, please let me know. But then we get, it's another, Minato here just, saying, he tells her the name. The technique's name is Halo Hair, a whole, a Jiraiya inspired by frozen dessert twin style spheres. And Kushina's is like, that's so lame and so long. And Minato's like, really? You think so? It's so funny. I love that. I love it. Like, this part I like. And she's like, hold on, I got a place to show you. And then she takes him up the spiral case and up to the top of the building. And Minato's like, whoa, there's a place like this around here, huh? And then we see the butterfly from earlier, going to Minato. Very cool stuff here. And we cut to my favorite well, when I say page, it's technically double spread, but my favorite of all this, right there, as Kushina's essentially says Rasengan, which means spiraling spear. And Minato's like, wait, what? And she says, the name of your technique. What do you think of it? Because she wanted to think of it because, she wanted to name it because if he made it for her, she should be the one to name it, right? And I honestly don't have a problem with that because, yeah, if you had a girlfriend, you're not winning that argument. I'm okay with that. And Minato's like, Rasengan. Yeah, that's a good name. And end of chapter. Overall, most of the dialogue and interaction between characters I really, really like. But the major thing I did not like was obviously Minato surviving a hole through his chest that came out through his lower back, and also the some other things that I brought up, like saying that Minato had like he was able to have a technique similar to the level of Hashirama, which I'm thinking like, come on, don't do that. But yeah, everything else I would say is pretty solid, but just that plot armor alone, where Kushina and Minato legit should be dead, but plot armor carried them through all this. And yes, I know Kurama was still mostly sealed, but he broke free, and Kushina used her chains to hold him down, but still, and then Minato being severely, severely wounded and being able to combat the Nine Tails. It's just no, I'm not buying it. I like this chapter for the most part. I'd recommend it, but honestly, if I'm obviously going to be objectively reviewing this, and I'm going to give this chapter a 4 out of 10. It's harsh, but I think that's fair. And I kind of do think I'm being a bit generous because that plot armor was way, way too bad here. But I'm going to stick with the 4 out of 10. I liked it. And yeah. I honestly do hope we get more chapters like this, like one shots. It doesn't have to be one shot. You could have it to where you have a whole one volume of Minato as a child all the way to when he becomes Okage. We'd all love that. Please give us that Kishimoto. We love that more than Boruto. Drop Boruto. So anyway, if you listen this far, I greatly, greatly appreciate it. Thank you so much. Let me know what you guys think of this chapter. I'd be very interested to hear about it. And yeah, I just can't wait to hear about your guys' comments on it because I think I was fair. But if you think I'm too harsh, please also let me know. So yeah. I really hope we get more chapters like this because I had a blast reading it and I had a blast reviewing it. I liked it. As I said, I liked it, but it has problems. Anyway, I hope you guys have a good one and take care.